we're gonna get over to the shop and start working on it at our place pretty soon. Hello, Redneck Computer Geek fans. I tell you what, this build here, you guys have utterly plagued me with questions about when it's coming back. Guess what? Today it came home. I am so glad to have it here. And a big shout out to my three friends, Mark, Raymond, and Jeremy. I really appreciate you guys with helping me out with this. Raymond, are you happy to be rid of the van?
John's gonna be happy to see it.
Yes, he will. Thank you, Raymond.
Yeah.
And getting it to the point that we could bring it home. Long story short, basically, this thing had a whole bunch of issues with it and some fender damage, and the catalytic converters had been cut off of it, and they had a couple of spare vehicles at their location. So rather than me bringing it here and having to run over to their house back and forth, back and forth, back and forth anytime I needed parts, Mark was gracious enough to let me use his lift and to get it to the point that it now runs, drives, and stops. And so now I can move it around here and be able to do the work on it that needs to continue. A ton of body work, but it's got an awesome frame. Everything else in the running gear is great, and it stops decently. It's got about 75% of its stopping capability. So let's take a look at what it looks like right now before John gets home from his mom's, because I know he's going to want to dig into this thing. John is just as obsessed with this project as you guys are. He can't wait to be able to have a tow vehicle that's going to be like this is going to be. So let me flip the camera and let's go take a look. Now, as you can see from the last update, it is missing a few parts. Well, that's because it ate the contents of another van. So, in the back here, if we come around, and that door hates me, so we're gonna go use the side door. The rear door is off by a bit, and this door here is great. It doesn't even latch down at the bottom. Look at what's left of this. And this was road legal in the state of Maine like a year ago. Yep. So, in the back of it, it ate another van. There is all the heat shields that we need. There's extra exhaust parts we might end up needing. There is a whole set of bumper and bumper skirt stuff for the front. The fender that we need, which we're going to have to do a little bit of repair on, but nothing major. The headlight bezels, the turn signals, and the headlights themselves are down there. So in the back of this vehicle, in theory, is every single thing that we need to put this front end back together. So we'll come around, we'll take a look at it. Bumper is in good condition, and what do you guys think? Do you think, I'm going to bet that there is plenty, I mean, look, I can pass my hand through the whole thing. What do you think about maybe putting a hidden 3,000-pound winch in here eventually? You know, if any sponsor is watching this, I'd love to have a 3,000-pound winch hidden on the inside of this. You know, a nice synthetic roller right here would look really nice and blend right in. What do you guys think? I'm also really up in the air as to what color I think this should be. I'm debating silver. So I'll tell you what, I will print screen a picture of the van right now, and I will post it over on the community tab for you guys to talk about. What color would you paint this? I really, really like the silver that's on my Ranger, so I'm debating that. But, so here's the idea. The idea is, if we look at it, we have these body lines right here. Okay? So if we open up this door, and we look at where this body line is, and you look across to where that body line would be on the other side, it would sit roughly right about where this cage door is. So what we want to do is we want to recreate this cage door but we want to do it using this rear end. Okay? Now I've got a theory on how I plan to go and do this in order to be able to make this one solid piece. The idea is to take all of that, make it one solid piece, slice the side of the vehicle off, and take basically right about here and move it all forward, strap it onto the back, and turn it into a cab over pickup truck essentially. And then the idea after all of that is done is we take the frame, we extend the frame about 2 feet out the back to about right in here. We put a tow hitch with a drop down slight right there, and then we put a flatbed all the way up through. And the reason being is because right now I haul 2 machines, one going this way and one going this way on my trailer. If I do it just right, from here to about here, let me go to the other side so that the sun is in my favor. So, actually, if I close this, so you can actually see that there is where we're going to try to go and put the new back end. Okay? So, from here to here is a little bit over about 4.5 feet. So any general normal sized lawn tractor would load right across here, just like it does on my trailer that we use now. And any garden machine would load across here. And basically that would give me the ability to at any point haul 2 machines on the go, plus a trailer hitch to haul another 2 machines in the rear, essentially giving me the ability to haul 4 to 5 machines with one vehicle. So that's what we're looking at. Now these roof racks are pretty well done. I think it's this one here is one of the worst. As you can see, there's a giant hole right through it. But what I'm debating is if I can take that roof rack and move it just slightly further forward so that we can take whatever the 2 best racks are and put them right about here. Because that would give me a place on top to put stuff like a spare tire, which I never have and I really honestly should. I could put a waterproof box up there to be able to put tie downs, things like that. We also need to figure out crouching tiger hidden winch underneath here, just like we already do on the Ranger. And by the way, this, I've got some footage of where this came from. Give me just a sec, I'll post that up right now. What'd you say this thing was? A mobile platform truck?
Yeah, staging.
Staging.
I have found a Mad Max car.
Oh, it's a little bit better. It's leaking.
As it is looking like a Mad Max car here.
You got a 5-gallon bucket of water just in case, right?
And that truck pulled this.
Because I just saw a leaf catch fire, so...
Here's some old antifreeze we can use to start with.
Okay. Yeah, I set that down. We probably should find a 5-gallon bucket before we...
That's where the exhaust is.
So this, I did some work and it helped out, and so this was donated to the project. It's not quite big enough, long enough, I mean. It's wide enough, like if I come over here and we put the van behind it, you can see it's plenty wide enough for the van, but it's not quite long enough. But I think if we flip this over and then we put some extensions out the rear, I bet we could probably turn that into the flatbed. And this stuff is rugged, as you can see. I mean, there's my hand. So that might be what we fabricate the flatbed out of. Haven't quite decided on that yet. We could even save the ladder maybe, and we could go and stick the ladder up like the back end of it in order to get to that rack up top. What do you think? Where do we go from here on this project? Well, the first reality is that all needs to get removed. So if you're in Maine and you have any interest in these doors that are behind me, feel free to go and send me an email about them. And, you know, if you help me pull them out some weekend, I'll sell them to you for like 25 bucks. We'll get them gone. I don't need them. They need to go away. But the other thing we might need to sort out is a little bit of an electrical problem going on. And as far as the exhaust goes, well, you know, I mean, it sounds like a mud truck right now. But the exhaust we're going to work on later. Right now, all we need is we know it runs, we know it drives, and we know the brakes work. Just like any other project that I always tell you guys before doing anything major, get it to the point of run and drive and test before you rip motors out, before you rip transmissions out and stuff like that. Any good junkyarder knows that's what you have to do. And the reason being is because if you just assume, then you could sit there and do all of that work just to find out you need a $600 transmission. Or you could go and rip it apart and put it all back together and have it not run and not know whether you actually had a decent motor to start with. As it is right now, it runs, it drives, it has brakes, no check engine lights, no ABS lights. So right now, if I rip this apart and something messes up, I did it. And I can go back through and look at what I was messing around with when I ended up screwing it up. It's a big key to doing this kind of work, is get it running first before you tear it down, or get the donor running first in the donor vehicle and then tear it down. Anyways, as it sits right now, gut it, strip it down, get the back of the cab put on next. After that, we'll work on figuring out the flatbed. Somewhere in between, we need to grind down and sandblast the frame and coat it and everything while we've got it all torn apart. Get the flatbed on, get lighting figured out, get a windshield, and then go see if we can pass a Maine state inspection and get it on the road. We got a lot of work to do. We're going to try and make sure to do at least something every single month, which means we can get this done by the end of this summer in order to be able to have this in order to do the fall season. Because fall season is when you potentially can pick up a ton of free or really cheap machines, as long as you got storage space for the winter. And I want to definitely try and cash in on that this year. Alright, that's enough talking. Time to get to work. We'll see you on the next update.